What happens when the man you betrayed sues you, not for cheating, but for building your entire legacy on a lie? Doug Christie didn't scream. He didn't throw punches. He didn't go on talk shows begging for sympathy. He did something far more powerful. He walked into a Los Angeles courtroom with receipts, DNA tests, and 2 decades of silence turned into fire. This wasn't just a betrayal. It wasn't even just a lawsuit. This was the official collapse of an empire, one built on paternity fraud, identity manipulation, and emotional deception. Doug had raised a daughter who was never his. Now, after 20 years, he was coming for every single lie they told him, and every single dollar they earned off of it. Jackie Christie, Chris Webber, both sued, both exposed, and the only one who walked away with dignity was the man they tried to humiliate. It started with a court filing that shook the foundations of reality television. Doug Christie, once the quiet, devoted husband, had finally had enough. On a Monday morning, he filed a multi-million-dollar civil lawsuit against Jackie Christie and Chris Webber, naming them as co-defendants in one of the most explosive legal dramas in pop culture history. The charges? Paternity fraud, intentional emotional distress, identity deception, public misrepresentation for financial gain, and the number attached to that pain? $4.6 million, and counting. The basis of the lawsuit was clear. A DNA test that proved something Doug had feared but never confirmed. The daughter he had raised, loved, and defended for 2 decades wasn't his. A second test confirmed a 99.998% match with Chris Webber. And Doug? Zero biological connection. It was more than a heartbreak. It was legal warfare. Jackie's brand had been built on motherhood, loyalty, reality TV perfection. But it was all an illusion. And now, Doug was tearing down that illusion in real time. Jackie Christie had been a reality TV icon, the no-nonsense queen of basketball wives, the woman who seemed unshakable. But what the world didn't know was that her empire, books, brands, speaking engagements, and syndication deals was built on a foundational lie. Doug's lawsuit wasn't just about emotional pain. It was about rectifying the public record. He wasn't asking for pity. He was demanding a full correction of Chantel's birth certificate, legally listing Chris Webber as her biological father. He wanted truth to replace the fantasy Jackie had marketed for 20 years. And Jackie? She didn't fight back with facts. She crumbled. Sources close to the case revealed that when Jackie was served the lawsuit, she collapsed in her foyer and cried uncontrollably for 2 hours. But this wasn't the breakdown of an innocent woman. This was the collapse of someone who had been caught, cornered, and stripped of her script. Meanwhile, Chris Webber said nothing. Not a word to the press, not a post online. His silence was louder than any denial. And behind the scenes, Doug's lawyers had only just begun. Every dollar Jackie had earned from her shows, every contract signed under false claims of being a biological mother, was now up for legal review. But that wasn't the real bombshell. The truth was still unraveling, and the most criminal twist was just around the corner. The courtroom wasn't built for this kind of storm. Doug's legal team came armed with more than just a paternity test. They came with a story backed by hard evidence. A 99.998% DNA match confirmed Chris Webber as the biological father of Chantel. Doug? Not even close. Not a shred of a match. Not a chance. And that was just the beginning. The evidence pile didn't stop there. Jackie's own journal entries, handwritten confessions, were now court exhibits. In those pages, she admitted knowing the truth since Chantel was born. But she stayed silent, built a brand off it, even claimed in her VH1 contract that she was raising her and Doug's biological child. That one lie became the foundation of her fame. Then came the voicemails. One in particular broke the case open. Jackie, whispering instructions to Chris, "Stick to the story. Don't ruin this for me." It wasn't just emotional betrayal. It was calculated fraud. And while Doug had stayed silent for 20 years, he wasn't staying quiet now. His lawyers laid out every receipt, from school fees and birthday parties to medical bills and vacations. All of it, $4.6 million in total, spent under a lie. Jackie Christie wasn't just exposed, she was unraveling, in public, under oath, and on record. If Jackie had any shot at defending herself, she destroyed it with one move: a bribe. As depositions loomed, Jackie made a desperate, reckless attempt to silence her daughter, Chantel. According to sources, just 2 days after Doug's lawyers filed a request to depose Chantel, a sealed envelope arrived at Chantel's doorstep. Inside, $15,000 in cash and a handwritten note that read, "You don't have to get dragged into this. Let your folks deal with it. I'll look after you." Jackie didn't deny it, but she didn't get away with it either. Chantel took photos of the envelope, saved the note, and handed it all over to Doug's attorney. Within hours, Jackie was served with a cease and desist, and the court was alerted. And then, Jackie spiraled. At 2 a.m., she went live on Instagram ranting about loyalty, people switching sides, and fake love. Her eyes were puffy, her voice shaky, and the stream ended mid-sentence. The comment section didn't spare her. One user wrote, "You tried to buy your own daughter's silence. You're not a mom, you're a script." Suddenly, Jackie's legal issues weren't just civil. They were possibly criminal. Witness tampering caught red-handed. The court considered charges. VH1 froze her contracts. Brands began pulling endorsements. Jackie Christie had gone from reality star to real-life defendant, and the trial hadn't even started yet. Then came the depositions, and with them, the fireworks. Doug Christie sat in front of the court, voice steady but heavy with decades of betrayal. His statement hit like thunder. "I spent 20 years defending Jackie's reputation. Now I see I was covering the lie, not the woman." He didn't hold back. He spoke of missed signs, gut instincts he ignored, and the moral agony of learning he was never Chantel's father. "Love," he said, "does not pardon dishonesty." The room went silent. Then Jackie took the stand. Her testimony was a disaster. She claimed she never meant to hurt Doug, but when pressed under oath, contradicted herself repeatedly. One exchange left jaws on the floor. Attorney: "Did you list Mr. Christie as the biological father on Chantel's birth certificate?" Jackie: "I said his name." Attorney: "So you orally confirmed paternity without a test?" Jackie: I didn't list him. The nurse just asked. I was under stress." Stress? The court didn't buy it. Then came Chris Webber, the quiet storm. No entourage, no media shield. Just a man walking into the courtroom like it was his own funeral. Jackie told me she wasn't sure. I knew the possibility existed. I stayed quiet to guard Doug and her. That was the moment everything shifted. Chris admitted guilt. Not just silence, but knowing deception. The court had what it needed: a DNA test, a false birth certificate, a bribery attempt, and now a confession. Doug didn't have to fight anymore. The truth was fighting for him. The courtroom went silent when Chantel Christie was called to testify. She wasn't trembling. She wasn't confused. She was ready. As she walked to the stand, every eye followed. Her mother, Jackie, avoided her gaze. But Chantel? She locked eyes with Jackie and didn't look away. Her words were clear, steady, and piercing. "I didn't know the truth about my paternity until this year, and when I did, it wrecked me." She recalled moments from childhood that, in hindsight, were laced with hidden meanings. Chris Webber tearing up at family gatherings, Jackie dismissing it as just emotion, and Doug being the only one who never made her feel like a pawn in someone else's performance. Then, Chantel dropped a sentence that would shake the courtroom to its core. "Doug was the only parent in my life who never lied to me, until he found out the lie he'd been given." Even the judge shifted in his seat. Chantel wasn't finished. She detailed how she had been raised more like a brand accessory than a daughter, paraded on red carpets, molded for camera time, used in plot lines. She called her upbringing a script, not a life. Then she revealed she had filed legal paperwork to change her last name, distancing herself from the lie. Her upcoming book title? Built on Lies, My Life as Someone Else's Daughter. By the end, Jackie was sobbing uncontrollably, but Chantel didn't flinch. "The truth hurts," she said, "but lies destroy people." The courtroom broke into stunned applause. Even the judge had to call for order. The world now saw what Jackie had stolen, not just trust or money, but a daughter's right to know her truth. Doug didn't leave that courtroom looking for fame. He left with purpose. Refusing multiple offers for reality shows, docuseries, and paid interviews, Doug told his team one thing: "I didn't ask for the spotlight, but now that I have it, I'll use it to tell the truth, not to entertain." He's now partnering with national paternity fraud advocacy groups, working to support fathers who, like him, were unknowingly raising someone else's child. In a public statement, he said, "This is about responsibility, not retribution. A lie I never asked for changed my entire life. The people who built that lie will answer for it, and I'm not the only one." Across social media, hashtag #JusticeForDoug exploded. Support poured in. Verified lawyers, men's rights advocates, and celebrities began calling for updated civil codes to classify paternity fraud as a serious offense with strict repercussions. Doug had lost 20 years, but he walked out with something no dollar amount could buy: his voice, his truth, his power. Jackie Christie once stood at the top of reality TV, brash, beautiful, untouchable. But beneath the glitz and glam, behind the book deals and VH1 spotlights, was a lie so big it swallowed everything she built. She didn't just lose a case, she lost her image, her family, her daughter, her soul. Chris Webber, a man who stayed silent when he should have spoken, who smiled in Doug's face while carrying the truth, who let a lie flourish, thinking no one would ever pull back the curtain. And Chantel, the only one who emerged from this wreckage with her dignity and her name. "Doug may not be my biological father," she said, "but he's the only one who never lied to me. He's the only one who showed up." And that's what it all comes down to. Not DNA, not fame, not fraud, but truth. Truth that Jackie ran from. Truth that Chris buried. Truth that Doug carried until it broke free and changed everything. So now we ask the question no one wants to answer. Should Jackie Christie be arrested for what she did? Should Chris Webber be banned from all NBA honorary titles moving forward? Was this just emotional damage or a 2-decade financial con? Let the internet decide. Drop your verdict in the comments. No filters, no mercy. Because in the end, lies can build empires, but only the truth can tear them down. Subscribe, turn on alerts, because the next story we uncover could be the one they're most desperate to hide.